Hey everybody, this is Jathan from WakeHouse.com. Today we're going to talk about your slalom ski, specifically about the fin, the wing adjustments and the fin adjustments that can make a difference this summer for your skiing ability. I got Jack Phillips in here with me. He's a competitive 3-event skier, and he's going to run down the things you need to know to make a difference this summer. So Jack, tell me a little bit about yourself and the 3-event skiing that you do.
Yeah, so I'm a member of Grand Valley State University's Water Ski and Wakeboard Club in Allendale, Michigan, just outside of Grand Rapids. And we compete in the collegiate water ski world, so competing against schools in Michigan for most of the fall. And then if we're lucky and ski well, we get to go to nationals and compete against really some of the great teams. 3-event skiing, so slalom, trick, and jump.
And you
do all three.
And you do all three?
I do,
as well?
yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So your slalom ski, what ski are you on? What are you running at nowadays?
I'm running the Vapor right now. Absolutely love it. I've actually been on the 2014 Vapor for 4 years. Can't get off of it. It's such a great ski. I am looking at this pro build pretty nicely now, though. It looks pretty sweet.
For sure.
So, yeah, I'm running, kind of working my way into 35 off this year, hoping to knock that down, and maybe some fin adjustments are in need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing that you mentioned before we started this conversation was kind of the distance between the boot and the fin, right? So run that down with me real quick.
Yeah, so you'll take just a simple tape measure. This is a pretty important measurement because it'll affect how the ski rides in the water, because it's how much ski is in the water.
Okay.
So you'll just take your tape measure and run from the heel of the boot right to the back of the ski.
Cool.
And I'm right at about 75 centimeters, which is just about middle. And you'll see Radar does a really great job of making their stock settings easy to access.
Okay.
Whether you're riding a new ski and it's in the box, or you can just go online and all the settings will be right there. And it's always good to start at those stock settings with the boot and the fin, just to make sure that everything's at kind of a good zero before you start messing with things.
A good foundation to build upon.
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of tools here. Mm-hmm. So quickly run through me. So when people are going to start adjusting their slalom ski fin, measuring, quickly run through me what tools you have to kind of make this possible.
For sure. Yeah, so we have just a tape measure. That's really just for the boot measurement. Your most important is the caliper here. So you can get a digital one or more of an analog that'll have just a dial.
Okay.
And this is for really minute measurements, down to the thousandth of an inch. So we're dealing with really, really small adjustments, and an accurate caliper is really important for that. Radar makes a great one. That's what I use and prefer. We also have just a simple Allen wrench, really great. It comes in that set, and then screwdriver, and then you also need these adjusters for the angles of your wing, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
Perfect. Cool. So those are the tools that you're going to need to make the adjustments. The depth of your water ski fin. Let's talk about the depth of it. What happens when you change that? Why is it important?
Yeah, so the depth affects what we like to call the slide of the ski. When you come out of a turn, the tail of the ski slides to finish the turn a little bit. And so if you have more depth, this is a measurement from the bottom of the ski to the very longest point of the fin there.
Okay.
So let's say you have more depth in your ski, it's going to track really well through the wakes, but it might not slide out of that turn as well. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you take away a little bit of depth, you're going to slide in and lock in really well, but you might lose a little bit of that angle when you're cutting through the wakes to the next buoy or just the other side.
Okay, that makes total sense. So you're going to adjust the depth. You've talked about from tip to tail, adjusting that and what that looks like, right?
Yeah, so when you talk about the tip to tail distance, so
the boot to the end of the fin.
Got it,
right.
Yes.
So that distance, you kind of hit on the importance of that, the depth, right? Mm-hmm. And then the last thing is this little wing right here.
Yeah.
Pretty much since probably 2002, that's been a pretty common thing to see on the high-end slalom skis.
Yeah, with pretty much all the manufacturers, they're putting them on now. It's really important for the acceleration changes in the ski. So obviously you want to be slower into the turn, but faster out of the turn and across the wakes. And what the wing does is allow for a very smooth and efficient way to slow that ski down and get it back up. You'll be working with anywhere from 7 to 10 degrees on the fin. And so you'd use these and just kind of slide it in between the wing and the ski there. I'm rocking a 10-degree wing right now, but
10-degree wing.
Usually want to start at 7 just because it doesn't change too many things, and generally don't even want to add a wing on until you're really getting deep into the course, close to your max speed.
Like short line?
Yeah, when you're cutting the line, you'll definitely want to be ready to throw that on there. So.
Okay, so we've talked about the depth. We've talked about from the back of the boot to the fin. We've talked about the wing. So common questions, you know, kind of if I'm slalom skiing and I'm coming out of a buoy and I'm not coming out fast enough. My ski's not snapping fast enough out of the buoy. What is kind of a suggestion that you would have to that?
Yeah, a quick fix for kind of the speed and the way you're coming out of the turn is going to be the distance from the tail. And we just call this the distance from the tail measurement. You use your caliper and measure from the very back of the fin to the actual tail of the ski. So what this does is kind of changes how the ski feels lengthwise. So a shorter ski is going to be really snappy in the turns, but you're not going to have as great of acceleration or hold through the wakes. Whereas a longer ski, you're going to have a little more slow, gradual turn and be able to really build that speed.
Right.
So generally speaking, when you move your fin toward the center of the ski, you're going to be getting a shorter feel. So
which means more snap out of the buoy.
Exactly. So if you're throwing up the big wall, lots of oohs and ahs from the boat, but you might be losing a little bit across the wakes because it's not going to have as much hold. You're not working with as much surface area. So, and then obviously if you move it back on the ski, the opposite happens. A little slower of a turn, might not snap as well, but you're going to get that really good hold through the wakes. Okay.
So after explaining that to me, the best thing you want to do is kind of find the happy medium. That's what it's all about.
With every measurement, boot, fin, wing, you might go a little too far and might have to dial it back a little bit. And it's really important to use really small increments every time you change a fin setting. And you know, if you're lucky, you'll have a couple sets a day. And you'll say, you know what, okay, my ski's snapping around a little too much. I'm not able to hold on to the angle out of the turn. Let's, you know, lengthen the ski up a little bit and you know, make that length to the tail a little smaller. And then you can change that one variable and then go on the water and try it right away and see, okay, today I'm skiing this way and I can change it, because you know, we all know one day you can be running through 32, next day you can barely get up out of the water. But
no doubt.
You know, make sure you're using as small of changes as you can in a short amount of time, so you actually know that the fin is what's causing the changes, because unfortunately the control with this is you as a skier, which we all know it's not always the same. So.
No, absolutely. No, great points, Jack. So when should you start worrying about making fin adjustments? When's that point as a skier that you need to say, I need to start fixing my fin because my technique is perfect? Well, it's never perfect, but the technique is okay. I think I got it. When is that point that you need to start doing that?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a common misconception that fin adjustments are only for great course skiers. Yeah, you will maybe notice the minute adjustments a little more when you're a little more fine-tuned into the form and the relationship of your skiing and the results as far as buoy count goes. But a good fin adjustment and a well set up fin can affect anyone, from an open water skier to a deep course competitive skier. So definitely, you know, find somebody who knows kind of what they're talking about, or look on YouTube videos, all kinds of things about maybe what your style of skiing is and how different fin adjustments could maybe change that and help you out a little bit. One thing to remember is there is no end all be all perfect fin adjustment. You will always have to better your skiing. There's always going to be positives and negatives to everything you do with your fin. And you know, there were guys running 35 off on planks of wood back in the day. So it's not all in the technology. You still got to do a little work yourself.
Right. But as the technology increases, it's easier to blame the technology than it is yourself.
Yeah, and there are plenty who do that. I've gotten out of the water after a couple bad tournaments. That's, man, those fin settings, they just don't work. And it was not the fin settings. So.
No doubt. So the last question I'm going to ask you, and you kind of hit it already, why should I only make one fin adjustment at a time? Why is that important?
Yeah, so you have to kind of think of it like an experiment. You have the control and variables. So the control is your skiing and your skiing style, and the variables are what you're changing. You're trying to find out which works the best, which is the most efficient fin setting for you.
Like moving it back or moving it forward, or the degrees on the wing or anything like that.
Exactly. So if you change more than one and you notice something was fixed in your skiing, or something, you know, you gained a new flaw in your skiing, then you won't know which fin adjustment changed that. If
That's
you change
super
multiple.
important.
So it's really important to, let's say I'm going to adjust my length, tip, depth, whatever. You need to be really careful that you're only doing one and making sure that they're all kind of balancing out. And that leads us to kind of a good general point is you want to keep the surface area of the fin the same. So let's say if I add a little depth, I want to take away a little bit of length because you want the same amount of fin in the water. So then you're not just adding drag, you're moving where the fin is using itself.
Totally. Perfect. Jack, thanks so much, man. I learned a ton.
Man.
That's awesome.
Pleasure.
Yeah, very informative. If you guys have any more questions, please let us know in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer them. And follow us on YouTube, on social media, on Instagram and Facebook for all the most recent updates and videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a good day. Enjoy the water.